Why are you so scared to evolve? Why are you so scared of our differences? So much so that you will not even take the time to understand them, but instead head straight to judgment, hate, pain, and suffering. Congratulations, you have become the masters of those things. But being a master at pain and suffering is not really something to be proud of in my book. It's easy to judge, hate, and inflict pain, suffering, and fear. It really doesn't take a rocket scientist to accomplish those feats. Each of those breadcrumbs leading to more fear and hate, they always walk hand in hand, no matter the side you stand on. Fear of not understanding, fear of things that are not your norm, fear of different ideas, people, and change, fear of the unknown, fear of evolving. I guarantee you it is not here to hurt you. Why are you so scared to evolve? You are literally making the decision to stay in the past, to not move forward, much like continuing to stay a caveman where your only advantage is your strength. For strength is all you need to hold someone down. And while you continue to stay in that one spot in time, the rest of the world has realized that they have the unique ability to evolve for the better. That we are not less by any means when given the same opportunities and knowledge. Quite the opposite, actually. We flourish, surpassing you and your caveman ways. But maybe that's what you are truly scared of. For why else would you choose not to play a fair game? The moment your ego feels threatened, it's time to clip our wings. Isn't it always the weaker opponent that takes the cheap shot? For would he win without it? So what does that say? It says you think you aren't able to win in a fair fight, an equal fight. You can't be equal because you are afraid that when walking on the same playing field, we might do just as good, if not better than you. You take and take and take out of your ego's fear, but all that proves is that you are lacking integrity, courage, vision, and humility. Let's take a little detour. Have you ever thought about women's roles and rights throughout history? I mean, really think about them and what they have ingrained into females today. Here's a little rundown. Up until around the 1800s, education for women was thought to be harmful to a woman's innocence and morality. Let me repeat that. Education for women was thought to be harmful to a woman's innocence and morality. Yes, you did just hear that right. Women being able to merely read and write gave rise to men feeling threatened. I am amazed by the opinion of some men who claim that they do not want their daughters or wives to be educated because they would be ruined as a result. Not all men, and especially the wisest, share the opinion that it is bad for women to be educated. But it is very true that many foolish men have claimed this because it upset them that women knew more than they did. Said by one of the few women able to read and write in her time, poet and writer Christine du Pizan in the 1300s. And women who felt as though it should be just as much their right as a man's to have access to knowledge and learning, those that tried to speak out against the system, speak out against those injustices that held them back from creating a better life for themselves, well, they were burned at the stake. Heretic, witch. In a sense, those words are just those who choose to think for themselves and live differently. They are an evolved, intelligent human that demands equal rights and respect, for they too were born with a brain and a consciousness to think with. their motto being to harm nothing, to live in peace and find balance in life, humanity with nature. Not the definition you were taught. And why do you think that is? Women were never allowed to have their own voice. They were allowed to regurgitate the words of the men around them. But technically, it was discouraged to hear a woman's voice at all, to be honest. For her role was manager of the home. Make sure it is clean, the food is cooked, and the children are tended to. Oh, and don't forget to look presentable at all times. And your body is mine at any time, in any capacity, whether you like it or not. On July 5th, 1993, marital rape became illegal in all 50 states. That was only 29 years ago. And yet women are given the bad rap of putting the ball and chains on men. But maybe that phrase was just a tool men used to intimidate others to keep their women in check, mind their P's and Q's. Women did not have the right to speak freely about their views, for their voice was considered insignificant. And for those that tried to speak, they usually found a noose around their neck. What are you so scared of? That I might just be as or more intelligent than you? Remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of the husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. A plea written on March 31st, 1776, to Founding Father John Adams, from future First Lady Abigail Adams. Women were not allowed to make money, for it was considered unladylike to understand how a business worked. Unladylike? I pray you, who drew up such a list of what is unladylike and what is not. As a matter of fact, why is it even there? But if women cannot make money, then how would they be able to pay for food and a roof over their head in order to survive? How would they be able to take care of themselves? Some form of money is the currency of living, correct? What choices did that leave women? To be a slave to a man in some way. For the alternative was poverty, death, or a bit of both, for that is how they designed it. If you are unable to get an education to make money or have a voice of your own, what path can you take? Marry me and I will give you everything you need, by his definition at least. If you were lucky, it consisted of a roof over your head, food and water in your belly, and clothes on your back. And all you have to do is anything he wants. You must be intelligent, but don't make use of it. You must be beautiful, but willing to work like a dog. You must act perfectly according to their standards. And if you did not obey, well, the worst of the worst gave you a dose of what they are best at: pain and suffering. Really? Who made these ridiculous rules up? Then that little man in black there, he says women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with him. Said by Sojourner Truth, one of the world's best-known human rights crusaders. What gender has controlled the fate of most forms of religion? What gender has controlled the fate of most governments? What gender has controlled the fate of most women? It's no wonder it has been so ingrained in us to be competitive and ruthless with other women when it comes to men. It's no wonder girls are so eager to get married. It's no wonder why some women feel like they need to be the perfect female and be whomever that man wants them to be, no matter the cost of their soul. For according to men's rules, women would literally lose everything, even possibly their life if not followed. Without an education and money, women were forced to rely on men, that without they would surely endure even more sufferings. What would you do to survive? Add up thousands of years of this way of thinking, and it's no wonder we have followed those rules for so long. Most don't even question them anymore. People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. I was not physically, no. The only tired I was tired of giving in, said by Rosa Parks in her autobiography. Men made these rules up. Men have been making decisions for everyone since the beginning of time. Well, my question is, who told them they were better and smarter than you or I? Who was their source, and did they really know what they were talking about? For they have never met us. There was a time that the only purpose for females was to satisfy all the needs of men. They owned her body. When they wanted an heir, you made one whether you were ready or wanted to be a mother. And between men of wealth, a bargaining chip you became. Other than that, women were useless in most men's eyes. It is easier to live through someone else than to complete yourself. The freedom to lead and plan your own life is frightening if you have never faced it before. It is frightening when a woman finally realizes that there is no answer to the question, "Who am I?" except the voice inside herself, said Betty Friedan, activist and writer in 1963. But we are not stupid or worthless by any means. When women band together, they can accomplish anything. But here comes that ego and its fears again. What better way to stop women from banding together than by pitting us against each other? I've always wondered why most men can get along and yet us women can be so catty and spiteful to each other. Have you ever wondered why that is? It's what has been taught since the beginning. Women have been forced to compete against each other in order to survive. And as an added bonus, if we are too busy fighting each other, it makes it much easier for others to do whatever they want to us. This is something central to a woman's life, to her dignity. It's a decision that she must make for herself. And when government controls that decision for her, she's being treated as less than a fully adult human, responsible for her own choices, said by late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Do you see what I see? We have so much untapped potential. Look at what women have been through. What they don't realize, though, is that they have created warriors. Add knowledge and the freedom to think how we want and to live how we choose, and what do you see? What could your future be like? I think it's time to let the cat out of the bag. To all my uteruses out there, to all my underdogs, you are more powerful than you realize. But the key is standing as one. No judgments, no comparisons, no stereotypes, no stooping to their level. Just standing as humans, telling the world, this is my body. This is my life. I am unique and I am allowed to be. You do not own me. It's time to put egos and their fears in check. Clarity and understanding is not something to be afraid of anymore. You can think we are beneath you all you want, but we have evolved and we know better than that now. Egos, the Stone Age called, and they want their primitive thinking back.